Sorry. Response video. Too hot for the day. Sorry, I'm using the wrong camera. A little awkward. Anyway. So he has made a video. Ethical value argument. Sort of conceding some points, but he's done that before. So he's getting this idea that there's a value creation event. So we have a sensation, the reactions. All right. So first, I just get to, all right, there's a lot of things I would change about your diagram. I mean, you don't have thinking events in here. You don't have, any notion of the idea that these are always being created, that thoughts are provoking feelings, feelings are provoking thoughts, that there's a constant feedback, and we almost don't need a physical world event to stimulate. The thoughts can just keep rolling, in a sense. You almost don't need once it's a perpetual motion machine, in a sense, that once you feed it pieces, it'll have enough pieces to just keep running. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not a significant thing. I just want to get to the point that the brain is just reflexes. You use the word in there, like we all do. What do you use? What word do you use? Involuntary. Involuntary screaming. All our actions are involuntary. I mean, everything we do is involuntary in the sense that it's all deterministic. So, this sentence, all this is involuntary. It's going to happen. Anyway, so these are all, this is subtle things. I'm not complaining to you or saying you're doing something wrong with this diagram. It's close enough. I just, for clarity, want to just point out that there's a lot missing. And the only real point I want to make here is that, in terms of correcting you, is that you're conceding the creation event, but you're still personalizing it. You're still saying my relationship to this value event, this event, this reaction my brain creates, where I have a sensation, is somehow only some sort of relationship event, and that I'm just not recognizing it as good and bad in and of itself. It's just a creation of a good or the creation of a bad, in the sense that the sensations are the creation of these things. So from my perspective, they're just commodities. As I've sort of tried to indicate, if I have a broken leg or somebody else has a broken leg, the commodity is the suffering of the broken leg. It just doesn't matter whose brain is creating the commodity. It's a thing. It's like matter or antimatter. So if we could just say it's my relationship to it, it's just acknowledging the value of it. Acknowledging that the sensations have value as experiences. That's it. I have no personal relationship beyond the fact that, yes, my brain is making it, but it's only a brain making it. That part of my brain I don't have to have a personal relationship with. It's almost like my gas furnace produces heat, right? I don't think of it like this is my personal heat engine. I just think of it as a heat engine, and that there could be one in somebody else's house and somebody else's house, and the heat being created by all of them is the same commodity. The commodity is the heat. The commodity is the experience. Whether it's happening here or over there doesn't make any difference. So it's like if there was let's say gold had some real value. And let's say there were golden geese that laid golden eggs. But let's say there were some other thing that could be created that ate the eggs. And so you personally had a goose and an egg eater. And everybody else had a goose and an egg eater. And we all knew that the gold had universal value. Not just value to us personally and some utility, but that it was in everyone's interest to see more gold made, because gold made the earth last longer, or gold made all of us live longer, or just the mere existence of it. So it's sort of a team sport. The more gold there is, the better. The less gold eaten, the better. That's how there's an ought interest. That's the relationship I have to other people or other engines of value, is that I'm acknowledging the existence of the value as a commodity, as something valuable in and of itself, feeling comfortable versus feeling uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is bad in and of itself. Wherever it's manifest, it's always bad. It's not bad just to me or in me, it's bad anywhere it exists. That's the relationship. My relationship isn't to the person or the animal. My relationship is to the bad created in their brain. I just don't know why I have to have a relationship to it. Now, I think you would understand this scenario if I gave you thought experiments like slavery. You'd understand that the welfare of the elites, if there was 10 of them happy and they had 1 million slaves who were castrated and spent their entire existence in some sort of torment to serve those 10 happy people, that would be a bad experiment. If I created a rat experiment and one rat ate everything, had all the good stuff, and the rest of the rats lived in perpetual starvation and in abject misery, you'd understand it's a bad experiment because this commodity isn't balanced. There's one happy and 1 million sads. You wouldn't do it that way. You'd logically say, hey, I can make that work better. It's like having plants that produce some sort of valuable cancer cure, and it's your responsibility to manage the plants. Each plant can produce 10 cures, but the plants don't get along with each other, and one plant can take over all the resources. It only makes 10 cures. That's all it can make. It can't make 1 million. It just makes 10. But it can stop all the rest from being productive. So all the rest don't produce any cures. So they all could be producing 10 if the one plant didn't dominate it and stop them from producing. So you could understand that you would have an obligation, an ought, to prevent the one plant from suffocating the other plants out of their productivity. It would make sense to create 1 million cancer cures just by changing the arrangement of the checkers on the board. Just change the arrangement and you have 1 million cures. Leave it the way it is and you have 10. The logic is obvious. So I don't need a relationship to the individual plants. I just need to identify which ones are the gluttons, which ones are productive. Those are sort of important things to identify, but that dictates your action. And the commodity is a universal commodity, not a to-me commodity. Their suffering doesn't mean anything to me. It as a individual thing. I can't do anything with it. I can't. It has nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It just means something as a thing itself. Their personal relationship to their own pain doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing that means something to me is I know the difference between the matter and the antimatter, the golden egg and the golden egg eater. That's all that matters. It's the commodity that has value. So I'll just say it again. The sensation is a commodity, like oil. And I have an interest, logically, because of its value, in having the world produce as much of it as possible, and as little of the oil eating as possible. This is a practical matter. See, I'm trying to. The subtlety here is that we're always having to argue from the fact that there is no intrinsic value. So we have to argue from survival necessity or personal desires or all this other stuff. And what I'm trying to say is that everything is so controlled by that, then when there's something that's just of intrinsic value and not projected value, we don't have a language for it. But that's sort of the point. The point is it has value and I'm recognizing it. And its value isn't in its utility. Its value is in its essence. So let me put it that way. It's not use value. It's essence value. And by recognizing that the essence I create, isn't different than the essence created by others, I'm just acknowledging that this gold doesn't matter who makes it. It just matters that it get made. Okay, so I think that's enough. So I don't need a relationship to the things that make it. I just need to understand the commodity needs to be made. Yeah. In the sense that the negative commodity needs not to be made. To make me more specific to the true philosophy. So I'll play the end of this just because he's, like I said, he's sort of agreeable through this whole video, and then he does this thing as he always kind of does, where at the end he says, well, this is some sort of catastrophe, major problem or something. But anyway, let's just play the very end.
The question is, what do we actually mean by value?
Yeah, well, what I actually mean by value is a intrinsically, by itself, in and of itself, good or bad. It needs no qualifier. It needs no context. It is just by its mere existence. If you could create a stick that had suffering on the end of it, that's all you'd need. You need no other context, just the fact that it was there as an experience, experienced. That's it. It's bad.
In the schema. And I don't mean replace it with important, weighty, significant. These are all synonyms. They're not descriptive.
Well, again, that's part of the problem with language. Like I said, most language has to do with these projected values of human ambition and human addiction. So most of the language is geared towards the heroin addict. It's geared to something that's personal. So the fact that we have a personal language isn't my fault. But the truth is, there are things, again, I think the word intrinsic solves any dilemma. I recognize sensation not being just valuable to me. I recognize it as intrinsically valuable no matter what machine is producing it. Even if a computer could produce sensation, I would say the sensation experience is valuable. Period. Again, our language gets caught up in survival interests and welfare interests that are, ambition interests that are a lot different than this fundamental intrinsic mechanism that does the evaluating. The sensation, the creation of the sensation is where value is created rather than projected.
They're not physically descriptive. And this is a criticism of the philosophies of inmendham and Trick, perhaps, that they're keen to be physically descriptive right up until the point where they invoke the pointer, and it's just a pointer for something.
Well, I don't know. Why did you bother with this video? I don't understand. You conceded the existence of the feeling event. You said it has value. It's an experience event. What the fuck? And now you're saying it doesn't mean anything. I'm saying I have the experience. I can see that they come in these two ways, bad and good. I'm just making the logical inference that the bad and good is the same when it's happening to somebody else. It isn't somehow reversed or upside down or not existent or any of that shit. Bad is bad, good is good, gold is gold, ungold is ungold. I mean, shit. I mean, it's just so disappointing. I mean, why bother with this video if you're going to just argue the same shit again? Where's your evidence of value? I'm experiencing it, shithead. There's my evidence. I don't have words for it. I can't describe a fucking feeling for you, okay? I'm telling you, I've had a feeling. It's intrinsically bad. I know it to be bad. You don't believe it? Fine. But it's bad. Jesus Christ.
In its meaning. And stop the description.
Well, again, I can't describe feeling. You have to have it. You have to do it to know the nature of it, the intrinsicness of it. You can't explain how the feeling's bad. Well, the feeling's bad because it creates this bad feeling. What the fuck do you want me to do? I can't explain a feeling. You have to sample it. Never mind. Till next time, and such. Yeah, I haven't finished the trick thing yet. It's just... yeah, 3 hours of thought experiment.